Hi, and welcome to Transparent with Tina. I am Tina Marx, your host. Today's guest has been through a lot of life challenges, including being in debt, suffering sexual trauma, weight loss, weight challenges that led to health issues, transition from working 9 to 5 to working for herself, letting go of a 25-year friendship. And she was also on the reality show Love is Blind. How does this all tie into her becoming a business and mindset coach? You're going to find out next. Up next, Kelly Chase. Welcome, Kelly. So nice to finally meet you in person. We've kind of been going back and forth, but glad to have you here.
Thank you. Yeah, I know. Sorry about that, the back and forth, but yes, I'm super glad. Thank you.
You know what? I believe everything's happens for a reason. I really do. You know, things like that would upset me before, and I would take things personally. And now I go, you know what? It's all in divine order, and it just wasn't meant to happen that day. So, you know, it kind of worked out well for me too, to be honest with you. So, yeah. So here you are. So you are a business coach and a mindset coach. And prior to that, you were a health coach, right?
Correct.
Okay. So we're going to go into your backstory because your backstory always leads into your current story, which is why, you know, you went from a health coach into a business and mindset coach. So I have a lot of points here that I'm going to read out loud, and then we're just going to address them one by one. Okay. So this is all from your guest appearance form that you filled out. You suffered from sexual trauma wounds. You were in debt $30,000 and you paid it off in 2 years, which I got to hear that story because, you know, I was in debt $30,000. It took me 4 years to pay off on a plan. Okay. 618 a month. I remember it's not 620, it was 618 a month. You transitioned from working 9 to 5 into working for yourself, which is another huge feat. I mean, this is a lot of things that I think most of the people can relate to that are listening. Weight loss challenges, we as women, of course, but that led to some health issues, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. And then you had to let go of a 25-year friendship. And most of my audience knows that. I had to let go of 6 people last year. So I want to really take a deep dive into that because that is painful. And it's a big decision to make. And I don't think most people have the courage to do that, but I want to talk about that. And then you were on the reality show Love is Blind. And I didn't have time to watch it, but I was watching the trailers. I have seen Married at First Sight, and I think it's the same creators as Married at First Sight, right? So it's so let's go kind of, I think 1 and 6 could kind of blend into each other. Let's just start off with the sexual trauma wounds that you had to deal with.
Yeah. So in college, I experienced sexual trauma. I mean, basically, long story short, I mean, it does take 2 to tango sometimes in certain situations. And that was the case. I guess, it was that whole like friends with benefits kind of thing. And the friends with benefit experience went south. So, the guy did tell me like, I actually have feelings for you. I'd like to date you. And I was not in that mind space. I was
going to say it goes either one starts developing feelings and that's usually why it doesn't usually work. Because one person usually starts developing feelings. So he started developing feelings.
And develop feelings. And, we would be out, we went to University of Georgia. So party school and, we were out drinking half the time probably.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it just, it started to just spiral out of control in the sense that, we would be out, he would walk up to me and just like, I'd be talking to like one of our mutual guy friends and he'd be like calling me names, like, what are you doing? Oh, do you just want to go like F him, like take him home and F him? And I'm like, I'm talking to our friend. Like, what are you talking about? It was just, he like jealousy. It just started like getting so intense. But basically I found myself in situations where like, it was like the anger the night before and, hey, come over, let's talk about things. And when I would get over to his house to talk about things, because I was like, oh, you're right, communicating, that's good. We can like work through this. We are friends. And it would always wind up with me feeling forced into performing some type of sexual favor in order to be able to leave his house.
Mm-hmm. Was that because you were afraid, or you didn't want to hurt his feelings? You didn't want to rock the boat? Because, I've experienced that as well.
Yeah, honestly, I think maybe a little bit of everything. Probably more so fear, or just I was so angry because he literally wouldn't let me leave his house that I was like, well, fine. I'm just gonna like do whatever.
This. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So basically he lured you over to the house to talk, but then he wouldn't let you leave.
Right.
Right. Okay. And did that happen more than one time?
Yeah. Yeah, it did. It did. And it was, I totally understood, I would cry to my parents. I'd cry to our mutual friends about it. And they're like, well, stop hanging out with them. Stop going out.
That would be the natural next question. I mean, why after the first time would you keep going over?
Right. Because I think at that time, like I had been friends with him like for probably like a year and a half or something like that. And I just I knew a different side of him. So I was like, oh, he was just drunk. I kept making excuses like, oh, he was just drunk, that night before. So let me go over and let's talk about things now that he's sober. And I think I just kept holding on to the hope that it would go back to how it would be, like how it used to be. And that, and it wasn't, it was just getting worse and worse and worse. I mean, it started to get physical, like physical abuse started to play a factor. So that was when my parents were like, your ass is either coming home or you don't hang out with this guy anymore. Like we're going to.
Yeah. How long of a period of time was this, Kelly?
God, it felt like forever. It was I would probably say like a solid, like 6 months that it was like kind of going.
That it was going.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's amazing that you were telling your parents this, because a lot of women in college would never be sharing this with their parents. So you must have a good relationship with your parents.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I will say this, I don't know if I said anything about the sexual thing. I think I was just telling them about him getting angry like that night before.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
So yeah. So I was, because I think that was what was that was scaring me altogether, because he just like had rage in his eyes. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, you're going to get arrested. Like, what's happening?
Right.
So yeah, it was probably more so.
Did he ever hurt you? Did he ever physically like lay a hand on you and hurt you, or just he scared you and believing that maybe he would, or?
No, he did. I actually, one evening had like pulled up to like a house party, and I wasn't drinking. I drove over there with a girlfriend of mine, and I didn't even know that he was there. I was still outside before I even like walked in the house. And all of a sudden, like he just came like running outside and just like pushed me, like to the point I fell on the ground, and like, and like there was a bunch of guys out there, and I think they were all freaked out too. Like they were like, what in the world? Because nobody did anything. We all were just kind of like in shock. And one of the guys was just trying to reason with him, like, dude, that wasn't cool. Like he was trying to keep his like demeanor just like really positive, but like serious at the same time. Like, okay, that wasn't cool. Maybe you should go cool off for a little while. Like it was just everyone was like, what just happened?
Right.
So yeah. And then he
kind of sounds like you were kind of missing the friendship that you had, because you always had a friendship. There was always a friendship in your eyes, but he had crossed the line, or he had more feelings. And so you kept waiting for that friendship to return. And instead it kept escalating because his feelings for you kept escalating. So if you were now talking to your younger self, or anybody that's listening right now, what would you say to them? What would you do now that you know better?
Yeah. I mean, just knowing that I should have exited, like it wasn't going to get better. And I probably should have allowed my parents to make me live at home for a while. Had I been my mother, I would have been like, I don't care. There are no other chances. There's something wrong. There's something very, very wrong going on.
Yeah. I would have. I have a son, but yeah, I know that God blessed me with a son and not a daughter, because I would be such a helicopter mom if I had a daughter. I mean, especially in this day and age. Well, so thank you for sharing that. Really, really appreciate that. And I know that a lot of people are probably going to be resonating with that. And I think that's going to help them. So how did you get $30,000 into debt?
Yeah. So in 2017, I left not former, like a former corporate job. Cause that's when I was health coaching and I was working for an all audio based fitness app at that time too. So I had like multiple streams of income and I was like, I just was not fulfilled in my corporate job. So I was like, there's more to life. I'm helping people with health coaching. I'm helping people with the fitness stuff.
So the coaching was your own business.
Yeah. Okay. The coaching was my own business. Yep. Okay. Exactly. And so in 2017, I was like, there's just more to life. And I can't be working all the time because I'm working all the time. I'm so burnt out. And I mean, I was in this, probably my entire 20s, I was like working, like hustling and grinding, because now being in the mindset space that I'm in, I had all these beliefs like, oh, we have to work hard to be successful. We have to work hard to make more money.
I want to stop you right there because I keep hitting my name on here. Sorry for that. I want to stop you right there. So that was the mindset that you grew up in, right? And adopted. What do you think about that mindset now?
It's not right. I left my other 9-to-5 job just like 7 weeks ago. And I have already, I'm working half of the amount of time right now. And I've already like doubled/tripled my monthly income.
Right. Exactly. Right. So you have to have courage to do that. But I'm a firm believer. You don't really make a lot of money if you work for somebody else. You're making somebody else make a lot of money is what you're doing.
Right.
You know, and there's people that they want that stability, because we all, there's a pot, there's a lid for every pot that, there's an expression saying that. So, okay. So go ahead. So how did you get into debt?
Yeah. So found myself, I'm living paycheck to paycheck though. With the fitness app and then health coaching, I'd never had a business mentor back then. Like I was just kind of like, oh, I'll work with anyone and everyone. Yeah. And it was fine. Like, again, I was able to pay my bills and live a little bit frivolously, but not to the extent. I had not ever done money mindset work. I didn't know. Like I was literally just kind of like going with the flow of what life was throwing at me at that time. So 2018, I started like doing all this spiritual development, like personal development work. I had never what led you to that? Did somebody lead you to that? Were you spiritual before, or was there already that already kind of ingrained spirituality and you just kind of progressed with that? No. Yeah. So I didn't it was funny because I was raised Catholic but I never felt this religious connection ever. I stopped really going to church when I was probably 15. And I just kept telling people oh yeah, I'm a spiritual person, but I really didn't know what that meant. I just was like, oh yeah, I'm spiritual. And then, the summer of 2017, when I left my first 9-to-5 job, I had connected with some guy on Instagram, who I'm still friends with to this day. But it was funny. Of course I was like, oh, he's cute. But he was doing things that no other guy in my life was doing. He was working out, and I always, I keep myself healthy. So yeah, I love that. But he had a great physique. He looked beautiful, but also he was meditating and journaling. And I was like, that's interesting. There's no guys that I'm into. None of my friends are even doing that I'm
called an evolved man.
Yeah, he was an evolved man. And I was like, okay, Annie's beautiful. So yeah, he just it was like that. He started to inspire me, just me watching his stories and all this stuff. So I started to get involved. I bought some books and I was like, okay, I'll go ahead and read some personal development books because of this man. And then from there, I just everything started changing. I read The Miracle Morning and I still practice.
I knew you did because that comes later. Yeah. But I knew it because everything you put down there for your morning ritual is in The Miracle Morning. Yeah.
Yeah.
I might as well address that right now. The Miracle Morning, in case any of you watching and listening don't know what it is a book. He actually has them now for it. There's the original one called the Miracle Morning. There's one for real estate agents. They're for different, businesses. And what it is, it's a morning routine that you put into place. And the acronym is SAVERS, which is S for silence, which is meditation, A for affirmations, V for visualization, E for exercise, R for reading, and S for scripting, which is journaling. So the whole goal is you do that before you even start your day, and you will have a powerful day. Yeah. And you know what? I attest to it. Raise your hand if you attest to it. Yes, absolutely changed my life. Change your life?
Yes.
Change your life. In an hour, you can do this. The only thing I don't agree with the hour is I exercise more than 10 minutes. Okay. So
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
The other stuff I can do, 40 minutes or whatever it is. And you know what? The difference in my life, and let me ask you this too, Kelly, because when I don't do it, because I'm a human being, I don't need to do it today. I feel different. Yeah. I'm not as powerful that day. I'm not as motivated that day. I start to slip back into that rabbit hole because you're only operating from one of two mindsets. In my first book, I wrote, the domino effect, fear versus faith. So it's either you're in a fear-based mindset or you're in a faith-based mindset. And I can do it or I can't do it attitude. And this pushes you always towards the I can do. And when you stop doing it, you do start to slide down the other rabbit hole. And then you got to check yourself and go, why is people, people that are not aware don't have any understanding of why they're going there. But anyways, so perfect. So you started doing the Miracle Morning back then. Okay.
Yeah. At the beginning of 2018, I started doing the Miracle Morning. I mean, I literally read more personal development books or books in general in 2018 than I probably had in my entire life.
Good for you.
One personal development book after the other. I was listening to them on Audible. I was reading them. I mean, and now I still love to like hold a book. Like I love that feeling, but I was like, oh my God, like I'm changing. My parents were even like, Kelly, is there something wrong? Are you depressed? Like you're not going out with your friends anymore? Like I literally like 360'd my life. Like, cause like I said, I was in constant hustle mode Monday through Friday. Come the weekend, I was like party girl.
Yeah.
And I was never connected to myself. Never. Mm-hmm. I was constantly on for everybody else.
And I want everybody to hear that. I want everybody to hear that because you know what? That's why the meditation, that's why the morning miracle is so important. That meditation, because your mind takes control the minute you wake up in the morning, unless you control your mind. And the morning miracle helps you control your mind, connect to source. There's the mind, body, spirit. Okay. Everybody concentrates on their body and they listen to what their head is saying, but it's the spirit connection that guides all of that. And if you're not connected to that, you're basically living like a robot, right? I mean, things will happen to you and you are reactive as opposed to being intentional. Is that, you agree with that? Good.
Absolutely. Okay. Yep. And that's how, just doing the Miracle Morning, like I have so much, I see so much more beauty in things. I have so much more gratitude for everything.
Yes.
I find the lessons in things now versus like, it's like, why did that happen to me versus why did that happen for me? I'm like the for me. I'm like, everything happens for you. It's happening for you. Even if you think like, no, this is the worst, shittiest day of my life. Like something terribly horrific happened. It still is happening for you. Because
it changes the neural pathways in your mind. Because I used to always look at, oh my God, why is this happening, to you, for you, whatever, but it always was half empty. Yeah. I dropped a 12-pound dumbbell on my foot today.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, it wasn't fun. But it's not, this is the way I look at it. It's not broken. It's a little uncomfortable. Thank God it's not broken. Before I've been, now another thing, right? Instead of going, thank God it didn't break my foot.
Right.
I'm still mobile. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
but all of that just combined, I was like, just confidence, self-love, self-worth, just like I feel like it just like radiates from me now. And I'm like, now I know what spirituality is.
Yes.
Now I am connected. Like there is something bigger out there and holy shit, I'm connected to it, but it's in me.
Yes.
It's radiating through me, in me every day. And I have to I'm still human and I go into my physical self and I get mad and I get triggered but I'm highly aware of who triggers me, what they say that triggers me. And I'm like, okay, Kelly, how can we do better next time to not blow up?
Yeah, no, exactly. But the awareness is the key, Kelly, right? Yeah. And we are human beings. That's why we're here. Okay. Because if we were perfect, we'd be up there. Okay. We're here for now to learn the lessons, then we'll go up there. Right. But and that's the thing. I think people are afraid of making mistakes, so they don't do anything. I was talking to a client about this earlier today. I think one of the worst things you can do is procrastinate. And, perfectionism kind of is right there on the border of why people procrastinate. But, making a mistake is never a mistake as long as you learn from it, as you just said, right? And so the connection with you is there, and it's like living your fullest life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So when you got into debt and got out of debt, was that before or after you started practicing the Miracle Morning? I mean, was that a result of something like that?
Yeah, kind of everything. I did start reading like money mindset books. So Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Was, I was definitely like, wow, this is a whole new way of thinking and doing and being. But so at the end of 2018 was when we filmed Love is Blind. And prior to filming, I had invested into my first like business coach. Cause I was like, okay, I need to get my shit together. I need to take my health coaching business from like a side business where I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just doing stuff with it. And I want to grow it and make it like an actual business. So invested in the coach. It was probably, $6,000-$7,000. I put it on a credit card. Again, I'm living paycheck to paycheck ish right now.
Right.
So I put it on a credit card. So that was 7,000.
How did you find your coach? Because a lot of people are going to say, how do you find a coach? There's a zillion of them out there.
Yeah, there's a zillion. I don't know if it was on the search page or if a friend of somehow I got connected to Angie Lee. I don't know if you're familiar with Angie Lee, but she's like a marketing guru. So I found her on Instagram, and then she had a podcast. So I started listening to her podcast, and then she was doing a mastermind. So I was like, I'm in. I don't care how much it costs. Like, I'm in. It was scary as shit.
Yeah.
Especially because I was like, I don't really have the money right now, but I don't care because I need this. Like,
right.
I'll figure it out. So $7,000. Then we filmed Love is Blind, and I was out of work for 7 weeks. I didn't have clients. I wasn't doing the training app, like nothing. And when I got done with Love is Blind, my brain felt like it was scattered in a million pieces. Like, it was extremely emotionally charged. The entire experience, like, it was great, amazing, but also a lot of just shit. I mean, I was talking to one.
Yeah, we're going to go there in a minute. We're going to go there in a minute.
Yeah. So after that, it was a few weeks later, I just was like not in a good space. And a few weeks later, I had met, prior to, I guess, I had met this girl, Erin, and she was a business and mindset coach. And I had just resonated with her prior to going on Love is Blind. And I was like, I need help. Like, my whole world just feels like it's been pulled out from underneath me right now. So I need to just like go all in on my business. So help me there, and so spent another $6,000 there on her.
Okay.
Another $13,000. I had some health stuff. I've been working through digestive, like health stuff for a while. So that whole like 2018 year also, I had been flying. I live in Atlanta. I was flying to Chicago to see a holistic practitioner every like 6 weeks or something. And the appointments themselves were expensive. The flights, I obviously had to get there. So the flights were expensive. So
you couldn't find anybody in Atlanta?
No, this was like, it was a referral. A girlfriend of mine was going to see this practitioner, like her whole family like saw this practitioner, and obviously they had more money than I did, but I was just like, yeah, he can heal me. He can fix me.
Well, and I want to touch on that. All this kind of does, if you really start to see this, all of this does bleed into one thing, right? So a lot of people start throwing money here, there. I have clients that come into my schedule that they feel once they write the check that they should be successful. No, there's still work. Okay, this is just a starting point. Okay, I'm here to keep you accountable. I'm here to work side by side with you. I'm here to mastermind with you. I mean, my last client today said, you're like my mastermind. There's 3 things to be successful. This is one of them. You know what I'm saying? So whatever you're looking for in a coach. And you obviously really, really wanted to make your footprint. You really wanted to find your purpose and your passion, because you know what? You could have been going, I need to go to Hawaii for, and spend 30 grand for 2 weeks or something. You could have done that. Could have gone, bought yourself a new wardrobe. But you know what? That's a true sign of a seeker and really trying to find your purpose, is because the stuff that the money that you were putting, what you were putting your money into was always trying to better yourself.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, it was.
So now is probably a good time. Let's back up a little bit. What's going on with your health at this point that you have to go to Chicago and spend money flying there?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've had, colonoscopies, I've had endoscopies, like I've just always had gut issues. Granted, I know it's very psycho-emotional. It's very mindset driven. I was raised by a mother who had self-image, body image issues her whole life. So yeah, my mom's 65 now and she's like, oh, I don't care what I look like now. And I'm like, yeah, well, the whole last 60 years of your life you did. And
not being thin enough or
and my mom is 5'3" and very petite. Okay. So it's all a mental thing for her, but she grew up with brothers who were probably picking on her, making fun of her, whatever. Cause she was the only girl. That's like one of the stories, but there was like I think we all just, we attach ourselves to the stories of our parents sometimes. And I think that's like what it was. Or, my mom, I guess she was like called Thunder Thighs growing up. Although again, my mom was like,
that'll stay with you. That'll stay with you.
So I think a part of this was, oh, Kelly, you look so much like your mom. So maybe in my head, I was creating the story like, oh, well, my mom has thunder thighs. I do too. So that was like one thing. But I mean, my parents, I'm so grateful that, we were raised vegetarian, organic, like very health conscious.
Wow. Okay.
However, I think everything, and this, but everything is about how we say things, how we speak, how we think about things. Right. And so instead of saying this is bad for you, say, oh, there's a healthier option. It's just a different way. So maybe for me growing up, hearing a cheeseburger is bad for you, or that cookie is bad for you, or that's going to make you gain weight, or that's going to, once you hit 30, like you can't eat like that. Like I used to eat a lot of food and I still do now. I do now again. But I remember like in my late 20s, my mom would be like, Cal, like it's like you're a 6'5", 250-pound man. Like you literally just ate like 3 servings of food. Once you hit 30, you're not going to be able to do that anymore.
Well, some people do have fast metabolisms. My brother Tony, it's like, same thing.
Yeah.
So did you develop an eating disorder?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was always like really petite. I started after a breakup in like 2013, which I lost myself in that relationship. Really, I did. I lost myself completely. And afterwards, I lost a little bit of weight, but I was already like probably too thin for people anyways at that point. Right. Lost a little bit more weight. Then people were like super concerned. Like, what's going on with you? Are you like throwing up after you're eating? Like, are you not eating? I was like, yeah, I'm eating, guys. I don't know. I'm emotionally distressed, from the breakup and all that. Anyways, I started to, I guess, just like, I was eating like really less. I was teaching spin classes at the time. So of course I'm like burning a shit ton of calories, but then I would like work out in addition to that, like lifting heavier weights, but eating. I literally remember Googling like bikini competitor diet, bikini competitor exercise program, like what's their routine. And I was doing it like on my own. That's why those people have coaches, because it's a very vigorous experience.
Right.
So I literally was probably eating less than 1,000 calories and burning over 2,000 a day.
Okay. So you were more anorexic than bulimic.
Yeah.
That's
like I was eating on like a salad or dessert size plate versus like a normal size plate. Like I was condensing all my food down and I would have like half of a chicken breast with like half of a sweet potato and like 6 asparagus, for every meal. And like, that was it. It was absurd. So anyways, I had lost the weight a little bit, but then I started gaining weight and I was still in that hustle and I was constantly on, I was constantly doing, I was constantly going and going and going and then binge drinking, staying up till 4 o'clock in the morning on the weekends. And it was a repetitive cycle for years. Like, I don't know how I even was surviving.
And you were in your 20s at that time?
Yeah.
Okay. That's how you survived, because you were in your 20s.
Yeah. So like, I remember Well, yeah, it was my late 20s. So 29, 30, my 30th birthday, I was like the heaviest that I had ever been. I had gained like 35, 40 pounds, and I'm 5'2". So 5 pounds for someone who's 5'2" is a lot for us.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Cause I'm 5'3", so I couldn't imagine myself 30 pounds heavier. No.
Yeah. So of course I go into like, obviously like body image, like my 30th birthday, again, like I said, it was like the heaviest I'd ever been. And I remember I like called a friend. Money mindset. I didn't have the money to go shopping. I didn't want to go shopping for a larger dress or anything. Called friends. Can I borrow something? And I was glad. This dress did work out for me. It was a little short on my butt, but whatever. But I remember like sitting in my closet on my 30th birthday, like we were going to a party. I was throwing a huge party and I just started crying. I was like, if this dress doesn't fit, I'm like, what am I going to wear to my 30th birthday? Like, this is a big deal. It's my 30th birthday. And I mean, granted, like it makes me emotional, but like I got there and I was like, nobody cares about what you look like, Kelly. Like I had 200 people come to my 30th birthday party. Yeah. I was like, wow, like it really doesn't matter. Like these people love me for who I am.
Yeah. You know? Yeah.
So
I'm getting missed as you're talking.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I feel you, girl. I totally feel you, because I think the recognition maybe for you, because what I was just feeling was how hard we are on ourselves.
Yeah.
We're so hard on ourselves. Other people are not that hard on us. Do you know what I mean? Like you said, these people just wanted to see your smiling face. They don't care what you look like in the dress. I mean, there are some people and you're like, girl, she's gained some weight. Let's be honest. There are people, we've all done that as well. Okay. But it doesn't make them, might be like, Kel, lay off the Sundays, but they're not going to love you less. I have never had anybody love me less because of any change in my physical appearance. Right. So, that's one thing I think that's really important for everybody to know. And, I suffered from anorexia as well. I went to boarding school. I was 105 pounds. I wanted to get out. I didn't want to get kicked out because my parents would kill me. So I just stopped eating. I was drinking Diet Pepsi, I'll never forget, and coffee. And I got down to 89 pounds and I went to an all-girls private Catholic run by nuns. I fainted in mass.
Wow.
And so then, I got my wish. I got taken out and I was living with my dad and my stepmother. And to be honest with you, looking back, that was the worst thing. I should have just stayed there. But here's the goal for me was not to lose weight. It was to make, a shock value. So people would see, right. But then once that disease, because I do think it's kind of a disease, it always has a hold on you. It's changed my mental image of how I see myself and how other people see myself. And when I put clothes on, it's like, oh God, I look heavy. It has changed. It's body dysmorphia probably for the rest of your life. And so I have to constantly keep myself in check. And I don't know if that is for you too, because I was down to a little boy size 14 tennis shorts.
Wow.
And I would count my ribs in bed at night at boarding school. And then when I couldn't count them anymore, when I had gained some weight, I'm like, oh my God, you're getting fat. Now, you're not supposed to be able to count your ribs.
Right. No.
You know what I mean? That's called malnutrition.
Yeah.
So I just want everybody to be aware of something like this. Really, it does have to do more with your self-worth and, how you look at yourself, which is why we have this show, which is why we're talking about everything that we're talking about. But don't think that once, you kind of, I don't think you're ever out of the woods. It's kind of like a recovering alcoholic. You always kind of have to keep yourself in check and go, okay. Because a year ago when I had gone through a breakup, I was really thin. I was going to Hawaii and trying all these shorts. I'm like, they're all so huge on me. Why are these? They're zeros.
Wow.
What's going on? So it's kind of a way to keep yourself in check too.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Totally. Yeah. It was, like I said, it was just like a wild adventure, just like with the health stuff. And I remember 2015, I actually started doing Beachbody stuff. And that's literally like what started to change things for me.
Okay.
Was a Beachbody program.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. Because it was like, I don't know if you're familiar, but it has like a container system. So I was like eating the amount of containers that was instructed. And I was eating, 3 times more food than I had been. So of course I started doing that and I was working out 30 minutes a day. I wasn't teaching classes anymore. So just the 30-minute workout, eating more food, I started to lose the weight. I lost 15 pounds like within 2 months. And I was like,
That's a lot.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, okay. And I had started going like to an acupuncturist too. And we had lab work done and my cortisol level was like crazy high. And he was like, you were literally in fight or flight. Like, I don't want you to work out. The only exercise that you can do for the next like 2 months is sit your ass on some grass in a park and just sit there.
Yeah. People don't realize that because your central nervous system is shot. Is what it is. It's like and I had that too. And I haven't been following my doctor's rules that well because I still am doing spin. But she said the same thing because I'd be waking up in the middle. I don't know if you had this too. I'd be waking up in the middle of the night. My mind's racing. It's like the cortisol just kicked in. Yeah. And you feel like you're in fight or flight and it's your central nervous system. And you only have one body. So when you say that the weight issues contributed to other health issues, was that the gut issue you're talking about?
Yeah. I think, I mean, honestly, like I had some I always had like digestive stuff. I think just like, cause we were vegetarians for so long. And then like in college, I started eating meat and probably crappy food and I started drinking alcohol. So it was like, my body was just probably, I was beating it up and putting poison in it in college. So I think it just started to, I don't know, depreciate. And then the like sexual trauma, cause that was in college too. So it was like emotional trauma that was hitting me. And it was, I didn't deal with that I didn't deal with that sexual trauma very well.
Right.
I went to one therapy session, like after everything was said and done. And I don't know if I heard the woman wrong or what. To me, my perception of how the session went, I felt like she was talking down to me. Like, well, then why did you keep going back to him? Like, she made me feel really stupid. But granted, that may have just been the way I perceived her question. I don't know. But I was like, my mom picked me up from the session and she goes, so did you book your next appointment? I was like, no, I'm good. I'm healed. I don't need to go back.
Right.
And so
but I think we already uncovered that because, that is the obvious question, which is why I asked you that. Yeah. And I think there's a payoff for everything that we do, even though if it's a negative payoff, yours was you really wanted your friend back. Yeah. That's why you kept going back. You're thinking, and I totally understand that. I totally understand that. So, I just hope you've forgiven yourself,
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So tell us about Love is Blind. How the heck did you go on there and what inspired you to do that? And did you get engaged? Because I was watching the trailer and they edited it. It looks like you were like getting married. Did you?
Yeah, I did not get married, but yes, I was engaged. Yes.
Okay. So in case any of you got to go watch this. I'm going to watch it tonight. It's on Netflix.
Yes.
And you go into these pods. So do they set you up with other people or just kind of random? How does that work? Tell us.
Yeah. So, I mean, technically there was like, we all started with like 15 girls and 15 guys. We were speed dating but we didn't know who we were going to be like.
Right. Because you can't see each other. It's all based on just, communication.
Yep. That's it. So.
Okay. And so that's it. I think I saw, and then the look on your face. Were you standing at you weren't standing at the altar. I mean, the editing was so bad. So
yeah. At the end, we were standing at the altar because we walked down the altar and that's like the closing. It's kind of like the closing scene.
So were you getting married and then you called it off at the end?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yes, technically I didn't call it off at the end, but I did say no. So. Okay. So did you, what inspired you to do that? And what was your takeaway from that? Was it a good experience for you? Yes, it was an amazing experience. Actually, so the breakup that I had that kind of sent me into the like body image spiral, we stayed friends-ish.
Okay.
Like, kind of. Cause I was long story. I've always been a people pleaser. I don't like rejection. And I was like, okay, fine. Like maybe we can still be friends because at least I have that control. I have like something of you in a sense. So,
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyways, we kind of remained friendly. And a couple of years afterwards, he sends me a message like, hey, a casting director reached out to me for this like dating show in Atlanta. You know, I can't do it because of my job. So I gave them your information. Hope that's cool, whatever. And
oh, wait a minute. This is just hitting me. This is the guy that the one that causes sexual trauma that,
no, not the sexual trauma. This was like years later, just like an actual, relationship. But
okay. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, granted, yes, I think that the weight, all of that, I think a majority of everything is rooted from the sexual trauma, of course.
Okay.
But yeah, there was another guy that I had dated.
I see. Okay.
So anyways, but yeah, he like, whatever, this casting director called me. That was actually for Married at First Sight. They were calling me for Married at First Sight. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. However, when their concept rolled out for Love is Blind, I get this random phone call, you know, California number. And they're like, hey, this is so-and-so from Kinetic Content. Are you still single? We have another project. I was like, I am still single. Yes.
Right.
So, they pitched the concept to me. And at first, honestly, I was kind of like in this, like, well, yeah, this sounds awesome. I mean, I can prove to my friends that I'm not this like shallow girl who only dates these like model looking guys that treat me like shit, because that is what I was experiencing after, you know, was allowing myself to accept low accountability behaviors for a long time. I didn't know what boundaries were in relationships for a long time. So anyways, I was like, yeah, I'll prove them. But then I really was like invested in the actual concept. I was like, this is really cool. Like to connect with someone on an emotional level. Awesome. And obviously 2018 was when they pitched the show. That's when we filmed the show. And that was the year that I started doing all this personal development work. So I was like, what an opportunity.
There's no mistakes. There was no mistakes. The universe brought that at exactly the right time. Yeah.
It did. So the experience itself was absolutely incredible. I learned so much about myself. I mean, how to communicate better. I mean, I thought I was vulnerable. It just made me even more of a vulnerable person.
Good.
Yeah. And just really communicating. I mean, now like looking back, it was interesting when I watched Love is Blind because it aired last February. When I was watching, I watched it real early in the morning when it was first like aired, every episode. And I just like cried watching myself because I was like, wow, Kelly, like you thought you were confident in 2018. And now 2 years later, holy smokes, like you have evolved so much since then. And so I was like watching this like older version of myself and just how, I don't know. And it, like all these like emotions were coming up just because of the show itself and my experience from it. I think there were certain things that I maybe had not got closure from the relationship that I endured on that show. But, you know, we did at some point after the reunion show, the guy and I did get that closure. So, you know, but it was a really, really neat experience. I mean, everyone's like, wow, you guys got engaged in like 2 days or whatever. And it was over a course of a week, which sounds crazy still because who gets engaged in 7 days? But we had dates with these people every day. So in the real world, you may have a date a week for 3 months.
I've always said that, you know, because I've always either I fall really fast or I don't fall at all. There's no like middle ground. There's not like, I kind of like him. I guess I'll give him another date. You know, I've done that before and, you know, it never works out. I mean, second date, third date, doesn't matter. I mean, if it doesn't click like immediately for me, you know, but I've also learned, that the guys that come on really fast, because it's always them really coming really fast. And then it's intoxicating because, oh my God, finally somebody who gets me. They finally see, they see my worth. So it's intoxicating. But what I've learned is the guys that come on really strong, they also leave. They also leave really fast too. They come on really fast. They leave really fast. So I'm in this position in myself that it's like, I don't need anybody where there was coming from, whether it was an emotional need or was a financial need or whatever it was. And I'm finally in the position that I don't need anybody. I would like to share my life with somebody. And I think I'm going to make the healthiest choice at this point in my life because it's not coming from a need perspective.
Right.
You know, so kudos to you. I'll give you a lot of applause for doing that, putting yourself out there on national TV and being raw. Another thing I just want to add on to that too, because you were saying you always dated guys that look really good and this and that. And I think there's something to this show in the sense that, I was talking to my hairdresser not long ago about somebody that I had kind of had a couple dates with. And I'm like, no, he's not for me. He's like, well, how do you know? How many dates do you have with him? I said, 2 or 3. Well, you don't know him yet. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not feeling the connection. I'm not feeling the chemistry. He goes, but you don't know him yet. And it did stick with me, I will say, because you know what? For me as a woman, men are much more visual. I mean, women are too. I mean, if it's a flat out no, forget it. It's not going to happen. But, on the first date, I was attracted to him. I wasn't falling all over, but I was like enough to go on a date with him. It says a lot for me, right? I mean, I'm not even going on a date. I'm not ever the type of girl that's like free meal, okay? It's like I have a lot more better things to do. But it's very true. I think sometimes we do cut it off because of the physical appearance, or they're not doing this or not doing that. And, there's more to the person. So I don't know where I stand on that, but it has made me contemplate things.
Absolutely.
In regards to that.
Yeah.
Okay. So you had to let go of a 25-year-old friendship. Mm-hmm. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So after the show, I worked on myself. I had invested in a mindset coach that was helping me. She was my therapist that I needed 15 years prior after the sexual trauma. Like that's where all the sexual trauma healing started to happen, was with that coach.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. And like really connecting to myself even more. And just because I was learning, I was understanding why I was doing the things that I was doing or not doing the things I wasn't doing. But anyway, so it just like helped me evolve so much faster, have so much more confidence, have that self-love and that self-worth just rapidly. I think we were maybe like 2 or 3 months into the coaching, and I, started using the dating apps. I felt like I was in a better place, in a better space mentally to start like going on dates again. And I did. And I remember like having a conversation with this guy. It was our second date, and he had opened up to me and said that he had actually like a month or 2 prior had just ended an engagement with the girl, with his fiance. She had cheated. She was unfaithful. And so he was like done with that. And when he told me that, I was like, I have been a fixer, quote unquote, for a very long time. I said, I'm not here to fix anyone. I said, you are not in a position to have a relationship, and I'm looking for one. Right on.
Yeah. Love that. Love that. It's so true. I won't date anybody that just got out or these people I'm going through a divorce. Mm-hmm. Great.
Yeah.
Not
so
me.
I felt so good. Like, I just felt so confident in myself. And I was like, good job. Like, what a boundary, like, to have that.
Yeah.
The guy was so nice. He was so attractive and everything, but it just didn't work out that way. We're still like friends to this day too. So that was a couple of years ago, but fast forward a few months later. And I had kind of like had an eye for a guy friend of mine. And I'd never had this, like, I mean, I've known him for 25 years. I never was really like romantically attracted to him. Always had a great time with him, just never that. Anyways, we were hanging out, him and another friend one night. And he just like, we actually like wound up staying at a friend's house. So we had a couple of drinks, whatever. And we're like staying in the same bed. And he just starts kissing me. But I was like, okay, I'm like, okay with this, because I think I do like him. But also I was a little intoxicated. So I was like, okay, sure. But, we stopped kissing, and he was like, I like you. I wasn't expecting that. And I was like, I like you too. I was like, how long have you liked me? What do you mean you like me? And so we started dating though. And he did start to pull back, like you were just saying, it's like they came on strong. So it was kind of like
love bombing. There's a word for it.
Yeah.
Love bombing. Okay.
Yeah.
In case you guys don't know what that word means, it's like they shower you with compliments. You can do no wrong at all. And the minute that they have you, everything you do it's like you're being criticized for. Yeah. It's like complete opposite. So you don't know what the hell hit you.
Yeah. 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 So it was that. It was very much like the love bombing. And what was interesting is like, I really wasn't practicing like the miracle morning anymore. I wasn't in my boundaries. Like, because I mean, there were times like literally like he would text me at like 6:30 in the morning because he worked out and stuff. And he'd be like, hey, Cal, like instead of me going to the gym, can I just like come over and like snuggle with you? And I'm like, yeah, sure. You know, like that's fine.
But you really wanted to go to you really should have been going to the gym.
I should have been doing my thing and I didn't, you know, so I was constantly like making myself available to him, but I wanted to see him. I wanted that, you know? But anyway, so it just like looking back, I'm like, okay, yeah, it should have been different. It definitely should have been different. However, he started to pull away. That stunk. A lot of my, I would say past behaviors from former relationships all started coming back up again. Like I got very needy. I got very graspy. Like, where are you going? What do you mean you can't date me anymore? Like
your triggers.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh my God, like, whoa. So we ended things. And then not to say we started dating again, but probably last year. I mean, not now we joke, we haven't talked, but we joked when we were ending things. We were like, yeah, we were kind of like COVID boyfriend, girlfriend, because like we didn't have anyone else and we were still enjoying each other's company. And, you know, so we were like in it, but he just still wasn't showing up the way that I wanted him to. And there was a time like we didn't talk for like 3 weeks and I was like, I'm not calling him. Like, I'm just not. And then finally this like 3rd week came and I sent him a message. I was like, where are you? What is happening? Why have I not heard from you? And he basically was just like, Kel, I can't give you what you want. I know I've already told you this, but I'm like reiterating it. I can't give you what you want and what you deserve. He's like, I think about you all the time. I want to tell you things. I want to talk to you. I want to hold you. I want to hug you. I want to do all the things with you. He's like, but if I can't give you what you deserve, then I don't deserve to talk to you and share what is on my mind with you. And I was like, okay, I respect that. I said, but like communicate with me. You don't just like ghost me and fall off the freaking face of the earth. Like,
right.
Have the respect in that way too, to communicate and be like, we need to cut ties or whatever. And he was like, well, I was just trying to figure things out. He's like, so I just needed time, whatever. So we did the same song and dance for a little while. Finally, I just, you know, with my mindset coaching, I'm talking to girls about boundaries and self-love and all this stuff. And I was like, Kelly, you're not honoring your own boundaries. Why are you teaching this? Like, you cannot. And so I felt very misaligned. And I just was like, I can't do this. So he was feeling it too. I started feeling it obviously as well. And I'm a big person. I'm like, okay, the only reason why we get resentful towards people is because we're mad at ourselves because we're not honoring our boundaries, period.
I love that. Did everybody hear that? The only reason we get mad at other people is because we're not honoring our own boundaries and we're not respecting ourselves. And that's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
So so the end of last August, we had a just coming to moment and we're like, you know, we were trying to figure out a way that we could like still like see each other. Oh, maybe we hang out in like a public place or something like that. Yeah. But, you know, we both realized we were like, no, we need to like literally cut ties from each other. And, you know, if we're meant to be in each other's lives in the future, then we will. If, you know, if the stars align and it's meant to be for us to be friends or whatever that relationship looks like. But to go into it, like this fear of the unknown of like, will I ever talk to my friend I've known for 25 years? Will I ever see him again? What will that be like? Like, yeah, it's scary. It was sad. And I have grieved. I mean, the last 8 months I have been in this grieving process. I probably just recently started being like, okay, I want to go on dates now, but it's so important to allow yourself that time to grieve and to heal and to learn the lessons from that relationship so that you go into another relationship learning.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And I seriously, I mean, that is so powerful. It is so powerful. Otherwise, you're just going to drag it into the next relationship. You're just going to waste the other person's time. And whoever's around you is going to suffer if you have kids or you have, you know, friends or whatever. And it's like, you know, I absolutely allow myself. I mean, everybody says, you know, what's that old saying? The best way to get over somebody is to get under somebody. Yeah. You know,
it doesn't work.
Does not work. It might be for the, you know, you have to look at your life and say, is this best for me in the long term? Or is this just best for me in the short term? You know what I mean? Because I'm all about the long term now. And you know what? When you're not putting energy into somebody else, guess what? You get to put it back in yourself. So you know what, you want Mr. Right, you just start putting the energy back in yourself to become Mrs. Right, and even, I was just sharing this with a girlfriend, and I said, I used to always, front of my mind was finding the true love of my life. So always the front of my mind before business or anything. Then it kind of started slipping right into business and stuff. I got to be honest with you. And it's not that I don't want to share my life with somebody, because I really do, but it's not first. It's not second. It's somewhere around third or fourth. I mean, it's like there's days on end I don't even think about it. Whereas before I used to think about it all the time. And when you step into your power and your strength and you start to see you're moving this life forward all by yourself, that's the biggest aphrodisiac I've ever had. When I can do this all by myself, I'm like, and I think I'm pretty certain that is the best place for you to be, to make the best choices in a partner. Because if you are not whole, it's not 50-50, it's 150-150, and you work through, you have plenty of time to work through your stuff, because always stuff is coming up, triggers, childhood things. And so, well, it's no wonder why you became a mindset and business coach. I mean, people have asked me over and over again, what makes a good coach? And I said, probably the number one thing is the amount of experience they've had, life experience. Yeah. So you can take 5 different certifications, I don't care, and ready, and master's degrees and this and that. And I had that. And I was the perpetual student. I have to get another degree. I have to get another degree. And it's like, and I'll never forget this. My best friend, who I've known for, most of my life, I would say at one point way back, probably 20 years ago, 15 years ago, why does this keep happening to me? And he looked at me, goes, you want to be like a great coach? How are you going to be a great coach if you're not experiencing all this? And I can truly, honestly say, there's not been one thing that I've had a client mention that they've been through that I can't identify with personally, that I've gone through. So, that really does. So there's one more thing I want to talk about. There was things I asked you in your questionnaire about how you practice moving forward. One was the morning routine, which we just talked about. And one was working through your own paradigm of reprogramming on a daily basis. And I get that. This is the one I want to talk about. Self-love, trusting and surrendering to the universe and God's plan, because you know what? Amen, sister. That is what I've done this year. And my whole life has completely changed. My perspective is, when you surrender to the universe, and that, you can only you do the action, you do what's in front of you, and let the universe carry the rest. And all of a sudden, if that plan gets canceled, or that big job that you were looking for didn't come through. I mean, my best friend has been out of work for a year. She's been doing coaching on her own, but she's been looking for more of a permanent job. Right. And the one she thought she wanted, she didn't get. I mean, this after a year, okay, most people would be like losing it.
Yeah.
And then she got the second one. She never thought the second one is one she wanted, but it turns out it's beautiful. And I'm just so freaking proud of her. And that is what brings true happiness. I mean, I'm nodding your head, and I can't stress this enough, you guys. If there's one thing that you're taking away from this today, on my end anyway, is just surrender to the universe and believe that everything is happening to you for a reason. It's happening for you, not to you. I mean, these sound like such cliches. Oh yeah, Tina, it's happening to you for you, not to you. You know what I mean? But it's true. It's true. If you just look at it that way, then you can handle any challenge, because you're accepting it as it's coming to you for your highest good. It's not coming to you to disrupt your life, to make you miserable or pissed off or depressed. It's coming to push you forward. You are really actually asking for all these challenges. We don't, when you ask for, I want this, I want more money, I want to go on this vacation, I want this home. Okay. Well, you're asking the universe for this. So the universe is giving you assignments so you can get this. It's as simple as that. We want without doing, we want without going through pain. And that's not how it's going to happen.
Exactly.
So the next time you feel challenged, you feel like you're in a lot of pain, you feel like you can't deal with it all. I always use this analogy. It's like a slingshot. When you bring a slingshot back, the further back you feel like you're being pulled. Oh, now what? Now what? Another thing. Say, hallelujah. Thank you for pulling me back, because the more you're being pulled back, man, it's setting you up to launch. So the further you're being pulled back, the further you're going to launch, but you've got to embrace it. You can't resist it. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that touch of resistance, oh my gosh, like that's the biggest thing. Like if anyone listening, like if you feel any resistance in your life, like just going back to the surrender and the trust, it's like, okay, when you just let go of that resistance and stop trying to force something or control something, I promise, and you just surrender, there's so much more peace. There's so much more happiness. There's so much more joy that comes into your life when you're not trying to constantly have this tight grip on everything. Like it has to be this way. It has to be this way. It has to go this way. It's like, maybe that's not the way it's supposed to go. So just let it go, because it's obviously not serving you right now. So let it go.
Absolutely, Kelly. And it's all, you go down a rabbit hole one way or the other. The more you practice that, the tighter you get. And, I'm so stressed. Why are you stressed? I don't know. I've got a lot of anxiety. The reason why is because you're trying to freaking control everything. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like trying to grip sand in your hand. The tighter you trying to hold it, the more it's going to slip out of your hand.
Right.
I think that's an analogy, but if not, you guys get the idea. Do you see what I'm saying? But I mean, it's like, I used to rush everywhere. I'd be like, and now it's like, okay, didn't work out like I thought. There's got to be something better planned for me. That's the way I look at it now. If this didn't happen, God's got something better planned for me. So, well, such a pleasure meeting you. I am sure you are an amazing coach. Where do people find you, Kelly?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. My handle is @ChaseLifeWithKelly. And then my website is chaselifetogether.com.
Okay, so Chase Life with Kelly?
Mm-hmm. Yep, Chase Life with Kelly.
That's your Instagram. And then say one more time your website. We're going to put it in text too. But
yeah, sure. The website is Chase Life Together. And I do have a Facebook group too. Yeah, and I have a Facebook group. Yeah. My Facebook group is Chase Life with Kelly as well.
Okay. Well, so many great pieces here. Such an amazing conversation. I knew I was going to have an amazing conversation with you. You are really insightful, and I'm so glad to see you growing and sharing with everybody what you've been through. I mean, that takes a lot of. You are one badass bitch. I will say that.
Thank you.
With the highest regard. Yeah, really, a lot of courage. I love that. So anyway, thank you for coming and being here with us today. And thank you everybody for joining us. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, it's Tina Marx TV, and we will see you next week. Have a great week, everybody.